Welcome to NextGen Timber, where modern forestry, raw machine power, steep terrain, heavy logs, risky cuts, and real-world operator decisions collide in the woods. One wrong cut, one weak bridge, one missed signal, or one bad read on the ground can turn an ordinary job into a costly disaster. Now tell me this, who actually enjoys the smell of fresh cut wood and the sound of a chainsaw digging into timber? That mix of sawdust, engine noise, diesel, and heavy wood hitting the ground is exactly why forestry footage feels so raw. It is loud, risky, physical, and strangely satisfying. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because people who understand this work know there is nothing quite like it. A chainsaw in your hand does not automatically make you a logger. Reading lean, pressure, roots, escape routes, and drop zones is what separates a controlled operation from a complete mess. Working near traffic without blocking the lane, setting cones, or warning drivers is not just careless. It is dangerous. A tree job beside an active street needs planning before the saw ever starts. Maybe this first guy should spend a little more time practicing before stepping into serious tree work, because once a tree starts moving, it does not wait for anyone to catch up. Next comes a bridge that looks like it was built from children's blocks. It is unstable, rough, and not exactly something you want under a heavy timber load. In logging country, weak crossings are more than an inconvenience. They are a real threat to the machine, the load, and the operator. This bridge crossing is insane. There is no room for error, no wide shoulder, no easy recovery point, and no forgiving surface if the wheels slip. Be honest, would you really drive across that with a heavy load behind you? Then the job shifts into full timber destruction mode. Instead of cutting the trunk into manageable sections and hauling it away piece by piece, the whole log goes straight into the grinding system. The excavator feeds it in, the grinder bites hard, and the wood disappears fast. In just a short time, a complete trunk is turned into processed material right there on site. That is not traditional logging. That is modern wood processing built for speed. After that, the Log Champ 550-yarder in the mountains of British Columbia shows exactly why cable logging still matters. On steep, hard-to-reach terrain, machines cannot always drive in and grab logs directly. Cable systems let crews pull timber off rugged slopes where normal equipment would struggle or fail completely. It is old-school forestry mixed with serious engineering, and when the ground gets this steep, that system earns its place. Then we see a man with no real safety gear, no clear plan, just a rope and a chainsaw. That is not confidence. That is gambling. Luckily, this one does not end with anyone getting hurt, but luck is not a safety system. It should never be treated like one. On the muddy, icy slopes of Javorka, the Massey Ferguson 3060 pulls a heavy timber load while trying to keep steady movement. This is not just about horsepower. This is traction management, throttle control, patience, and knowing when to push and when to hold back. One wrong move, one bad slide, and the slope wins. Then gravity chooses its own path. You can make the notch, pull the rope, set the direction, and plan the fall. But once a tree commits the wrong way, everyone is just reacting. That is the brutal truth of tree work. Control matters most before the movement begins. After that, there is no reset button. The engine roars as the machine pushes a heavy load forward inch by inch. There is no smooth highway here, just cold ground, rough terrain, resistance, weight, and a machine fighting for every meter. Sometimes the reason everything goes wrong is not the tree, the machine, or the terrain. Sometimes the failure starts with the crew, bad communication, poor timing. The next move is clearly a bad idea. He should be higher up, working in smaller sections, reducing the weight piece by piece instead of trying to force too much at once. Then comes that deep cracking sound every timber worker knows. It is not just noise, it is a warning. When wood starts splitting under pressure, something is about to release, and there is no guarantee it will move the way anyone expects. Helicopter logging is one of the most impressive methods in modern forestry. Instead of dragging timber through rough ground, each log is lifted out from above with serious power and precision. It is expensive, demanding, and difficult, but in terrain where roads cannot reach, it can be the smartest option. Watching those logs rise out of the forest canopy shows how far forestry technology has come. When roots lift out of the ground, the tree stops acting like a tree and starts acting like a giant lever. All that weight shifts through the trunk, and the force can come straight back toward the person cutting. That is how a normal felling job turns dangerous in seconds. Then comes the moment where everyone checks if the worker is okay. That quick, "You good?" says everything. The job can stop, the tree can wait, the machine can be repaired. The person matters first. That is the part of real forestry people sometimes forget until something goes wrong. After that, we get pure logging pride. Big machines, John Deere skidders, heavy poles, and crews who clearly love seeing serious equipment do serious work. When the timber is massive and the ground is ugly, small machines do not belong in the conversation. Sometimes you have to go big because the job leaves no other option. In tree trimming, the real danger is not always the size of the branch. It is how the wood releases force after the cut. A small limb under tension can kick, swing, drop, or snap harder than expected. That is why every cut has to be judged before the saw touches the wood. And maybe that vehicle really was the target, because the tree lands like it had an address. Aiming for open ground is one thing. Ending up on someone's car is something else entirely. That is the kind of mistake people remember long after the cleanup is finished. Work at height is not the place for a ladder and hope. Real tree work above ground needs proper climbing gear, ropes, harnesses, and controlled rigging. Without that, the worker is not just cutting wood. He is gambling against gravity. Constant battle between machinery and mud. Every wheel rotation matters. Every steering correction matters. One wrong move and the entire setup can sink, slide, or get completely stuck. That is the reality of timber work in rough country. This is NextGen Timber. Dangerous cuts, steep ground, heavy loads, risky bridges, helicopter logging, skidders, yarders, mud, machines, and crews working where mistakes get expensive fast. Subscribe now for more real forestry action, powerful timber machines, raw logging moments, and the kind of work that proves the forest never gives anything away easily.